And we are live with the race. I am not one of the commentators, but I'm up here so I can count everyone down. I don't know if the commentators want to introduce themselves first or if we just want to get into it.
Well, I'm Shabu. I'm gonna be joining you on this epic journey of epic proportions, watching three of the best NieR Automata runners in the world duke it out in a well, I guess one bout King of the Ring match, and it's gonna be a really great time. I'm joined by my good friend and wonderfully smooth-voiced compatriot companion, Friendship Cannon.
Oh, don't butter me up like that. You can do anything to me. Yeah.
Keep it for after the stream.
Okay. We're just gonna have a grand old time. Hope everybody's alright. You have the floor.
All right. We're going to be counting this down. So, runners are going to be going in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so you might notice a couple odd things about the game. Usually, I would take this brief moment while 2B talks about all kinds of cycles and whatever garbo we don't really care about with the speedrun. But the screens might look a little bit different, and that's because some people are running with Fixed Automata Resolution mod, which we're allowed to talk about apparently, and then also something called VC3 mod and the NieR Automata Racing OIP. I don't know what that stands for. It's an abbreviation. Basically, we can see the other runners and where they are, and it's a pretty cool little thing. You'll see the little diamonds. That's everybody else who's running.
It's an acronym in an acronym because it's Race Over IP. Simple as that.
Thank you. Acronym, not abbreviation.
Oh, but right. Didn't even catch that. Yeah. Because who doesn't love their game to start with a 2.5 minute, 2-minute auto-scroller? Oh, lasers. Ooh.
Dude,
what is happening here?
Yeah, someone got in early. But anyway, so in the top left, we have Amei, an incredibly seasoned veteran of the game. Really incredible times. I believe a PB of 122.04. I want to say 09. Sorry, thank you. I kind of rounded the top of it. 122.09. Blue has the bottom middle with a 122.23, but with VC3 mod, which we are using, a 121.59, blazing fast speeds, and then Aloyark has a 122.59. So we should be in for an incredibly close and nail-biting match, and I am incredibly excited to be commentating here with you all, and talking with y'all, chilling with y'all, and just, hanging out and watching history in the making as we watch these titans of the game go at it against each other.
As you see, our runners are kind of sticking to these sides. Bless you, Grace. Our runners are sticking to sides of the screen to be ready for incoming waves, to take care of them as soon as they spawn, because even though this is an auto-scroller, you can't go faster. You can go slower, though. And earlier, when we still had any companions, any NPCs on the screen, we pushed them a little bit to the side. So if they decide to help us out, they do so in a timely fashion.
Yeah, we have actually 2 AI manips in that, and this one was, or the one before was found by a wonderful commentator, and just, excuse me. I'll never let anyone live that down. I found a.
You found many wonderful little things, and there are still one things of those still remaining in the run. You found another one, and we might get to see it with 3 runners. We might have a choice to see it, or we see the skip that skips it.
Me? I've found 3 things. Thank you very much. In my hundreds of hours of looking, I found 3. A total of maybe 6 seconds of time saved.
And that, my wonderful listeners, is actually quite a bit, if they still remain in the run. Sorry.
Yeah.
You see the timer coming up on 4 minutes and 20 seconds soon. This split is called Crash, and it is already one of those that are heavily optimized. I think all 3 of our runners have gotten a 4 minute 18 second split on this.
Yes,
It might not be this one. It is rumored, and I don't know if we already have it, that a 4 minute 17.99, well, not 9, but 5.9 split is possible. Now we are in the combat. Yes, we are. This is not only a shmup. Shabu, what are we seeing, and why are robots melting like cheese?
Like cheese? Sorry. Fair enough. Okay, I won't dwell on the cheese comment. So basically, we're going to be doing a mishmash, wonderful tish-tash. That's not a word, but a nice combination, nice hot pot stew. We're getting a stew together of wonderful little bit of combat tricks, knickknacks, and all that stuff. The first thing you're going to be noticing, the biggest thing, is what we like to call double damage exploit or double damage glitch. I'm sorry, damage glitch. Not quite double. That comes a bit later, but damage glitch basically is you dash and then heavy with a small sword in the heavy slot, and it spins the sword around, and every tick of damage does 5 times damage. I don't know why, but it does, and it allows us to absolutely destroy and melt things. Now, the second thing we're going to be doing is splish flashing, super hitting our light like crazy for combat, but first we're just going to clip out here. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Just going to get around some stuff. You know, whatever. It's. Well, I don't even know why you're worried about it, chat. Stop freaking out.
Blue went for the old crane skip. Amei and Aloyark for the skip.
Yeah.
Because we skipped the crane skip. Because that's how we name things.
We have an interesting naming convention in the NieR community. But, so... yeah, I'm going to try and get through combat, and then I can talk about movement. I'm sorry, they are kind of intertwined, but flashing our flashlight as quickly as possible allows us to taunt enemies, which means that they take increased damage, but we also take increased damage. All these things are multiplicative, by the way. And then pod program. If you charge up your laser or your missile, you might have noticed. I'm actually just going to let you enjoy bridge skip super quick. This is a combination of attacks. The way that we move around the world... God, they're so fast. It's going to be so hard to talk about everything. The way that we move around is by using attacks to gain height and gain horizontal movement. And basically, the way I like to think about it is all the swords are kind of like butter, and we've just got a hot knife, and we are just cutting through it and just going through it at lightning speeds. And it makes it incredibly fun to watch and engaging, but incredibly difficult to commentate because there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, so all of the movement in this game is pretty much just attacks, and I think that that's really neat and really cool, and the movement is pretty well optimized. Like here, if you look at Amei's screen, you can see setting up for a juicy saucy laser there that's all been labbed out perfectly. Allows us to get all those enemies, allows us to sweep them up just like a very high-powered android janitor.
I surveyed the entire factory,
But yeah, so, and that all goes in with the combat. If you charge up a pod program, it slows the world around us. We'll see that in a couple different unique ways. Amei going for angle swag. Person after my own heart. Let's go.
It saves about 0.3 seconds, but it is a time save. If you get it right the first time.
It's not like command to get a location wrong.
We had a little setback for Aloyark because he didn't get what we call God Laser. The stubbies that dropped in Silo 3.
I wouldn't bet on
You
that.
can get rid of them with one laser. It is a bit finicky. Now meet Marks, because this game likes to drop some, likes to drop some hints to philosophers. If you haven't noticed yet, we will definitely let you know this.
So this can actually be one-cycled, but it requires some pretty precise placements of those spinning swords that we like to call damage glitch. It is a threshold boss, so you just need to get it to half health, kind of shoot it around a bit, rough it up, tough it up, have a good time, having a blast, and then it goes down. We're able to just continue on. But oh, surprise, surprise, that wasn't the actual boss, you fools. I'm just kidding. You're great. It's this is our actual first boss, and fortunately for us, this first section is just completely timed. So we're gonna wail on it with some of our tools that we were talking about, including the pod slow-mo, which is what we talked about a little bit earlier, where we use the where we charge up a pod program. We're also gonna be using that damage glitch, that delicious little bit of extra, just 5 times damage, just a casual 5 times damage. We unfortunately will not be able to see us using buffs right now, but that's going to be another little juicy, saucy little secret between us, but just gives us a little boost in performance.
Because all the damage multipliers are multipliers that stack, which is really nice if we are very under-leveled by the end of the run.
Yeah, it allows us to just meld bosses, and there's a couple other saucy chips, a little bit of chips, tricks, and other fun things that we're going to be picking up a little bit later that allow us to just totally increase our damage to ridiculous heights. And I hope you stick around and watch, because it's going to be a blast.
I'm going to destroy it.
Right. I'll provide support.
Now I do want to point out there is a little bit of RNG in this fight, and so Angles after that cutscene can decide to do a number of attacks. There's a ranged attack, which is exactly what you want and saves no time but doesn't lose time. There is the clap, which loses about 4 seconds, I want to say, 4 or 5 seconds. And then there's punches, which lose over 20 seconds. And because these runners are so chivalrous and fantastic to each other and really want to just duke it out on the fairest playing field, Amei, for example, got punches, but they are going to duke it out on a level playing field for later on. Now, they have the mod VC3. Now, what VC3 refers to is our sword, Virtuous Contract. We're going to be able to upgrade it to a nice, juicy level 2 in a moment here, and then we have VC2. VC3 guarantees us the drops for VC3 because it's incredibly RNG dependent. It's a pain in the butt. It's just, ugh. Throw it in the bin. I hate it. Let's just get them guaranteed. Now, what these runners have decided to do is that if someone gets punches, they are allowed to buy VC3. If they don't get punches, then they get to use VC2, so that hopefully the time save kind of over the run evens out from the time loss to time save of punches and not punches. Hopefully that was clear. I feel like my brain was about as cohesive as scrambled eggs in that sentence.
I think we are good. BlueMetal is fighting who we like to call ninjas because they are a bit dodgy. Aloyark is now up there too. And that is the last bit of ground combat for Prologue, which is kind of a neat little showcase of what you all get to expect from the rest of the run. Ground combat, aerial combat in multiple configurations even. Bosses galore, I would like to say. And manipulations in many, many ways, even where we can, with the help of a little mod on the RNG.
Yeah. So this one is also timed, but you can time it up by dialogue. It seems to line up with the dialogue. It says, "Shut up," and then you want to get the punch. So we can actually manipulate this by doing a little shortcut delaying. So we pause buffer, but the voice lines keep going forward, and then we're able to kind of line up the animations correctly. If we do it incorrectly, then we just lose a little bit more time yet again. So right there, we just heard it on blue screen. And there's the punch.
Upper arm. Seized from enemy unit. Marking weak point. Got it.
You can really see the difference in punches versus other other attack animations. in Amei versus Amei's in the top left, Aloyark in the top right, and Blue in the center, kind of bottomish. So Blue's about to do something kind of cool, which is a little glitch where you can hit the enemy and then dodge, and it resets that animation and allows you to just keep wailing on him. And then that's the end of prologue.
You can get a nifty double hit in, but we are already one step ahead in the bunker. And everything's a bit monochrome here. What is going on?
I'd like to also point out the movement. So you were able to see that they were dash punching, and then they jumped at the end. So there's very different reasons for both of those things, but they're all little tiny itty bitty optimizations. Dash punching is just a hair faster than just chain dashing, which is way faster than sprinting. And so you're going to be seeing dash punching a lot. Just kidding. We're only going to see right? You guys understand what I'm saying, right? Okay. No, you're only going to see dash punching until we are able to upgrade Virtuous Contract, our little tiny trusty sword that we're going to be using for the entirety of the run. Once we upgrade that, we get increased attack speed and allows us to zoom real fast. And yeah, then we're going to say screw that and pick up another form of movement, and it just gets to be a lot. But the jump is a little bit easier to explain. There's a slow walk animation into a lot of cutscenes, and so if you jump, you just skip that. Setting up for a little dialogue skip here is really cool. You can kind of cancel out two dialogues. The way I like to think about it is if you ever watched rams run at each other and then just kind of tonk, I like to think of the two dialogues. You pick up one dialogue box, and then you have another dialogue box, and they just ram into each other, and then they just knock each other out, and that's that. And then neither one is open, and we've skipped dialogue.
You're giving me a bit of fire for the cheese. Oh man, I just love hanging with you. Because this bunker is little bit too bleak for us, we are heading back to Earth. Another shmup. Yep. It can get a little bit dicey, not for those three, but when you die, you lose all your chips, and in the prologue, you even lose all your health recoveries. So they are here without any recoveries. It's just the good old story of don't get hit.
So one thing I'd like to point out that I'm a failure. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, Fun Cannon. I'm a failure. There's so much to talk about.
Exactly. Take your time.
And,
we get a little lull later. We can explain everything we didn't get to explain during Best Girl Grunt.
Yep. But I would like to point out that the shmups, one very important thing to point out is that all of the waves are predetermined. So wave speed is all determined on how fast and how well these runners know their shmups. And in case you aren't looking at the screen for some reason and you're just listening to the commentary, I don't know why you would, but they know their shmups. They know their shmups. I'm just gonna say that they know those waves. They count them to go to sleep. I know for a fact at least Amei does.
That sounds like an Amei thing, yes. We are back with wonderful, wonderful movement. There are cutscenes. Cutscenes have a little slow walk animation before them. If we dash punch or dash swing into them, we don't get that, which is a wonderful thing we are going to use and abuse as much as we can.
According to our intel, none of
Or we'll just straight up go around them, but we'll get to that later. Ooh,
You're speedrunning the commentary, are you?
you gotta set up, you gotta give them a little nibble, you gotta, no, I don't know what I'm saying, so I just may start making noises in case you haven't noticed.
I think now it's my point to tell you keep it for later.
Ooh.
Some Disgaea in the background, we have a man of culture in chat, BDragon28. Because I'm playing some Fire Emblem 14 in the background. Which one is the 14th one? Well, you
So,
have played all others before, probably, so...
So we're gonna... Sorry if I'm getting...
No, no.
Didn't mean to talk over you.
Go
We're gonna
ahead,
be picking up
explain the
some...
quest.
we're gonna be
Not
picking up
necessarily.
some delicious...
This must have been
You know,
quite
everybody
simple
loves a
design.
good fetch
Too bad
quest.
vegetation's growing
We're gonna
most
pick
of
up a
it
fetch
now.
quest. Now, this is a pretty good showcase of what I mean by kind of combat from movement. So the dashing, the dash punching, those are all kind of combat stuff. If you look at Aloyark's screen, or we're looking at Aloyark's screen, you might have noticed that they had their screen tilted up, and that's to avoid looking at enemies because there's an auto lock on. And so just to get the hottest...
That should be enough.
do I have to say
Let's
this?
get these back to the trader.
To get the hottest 2B
White Wolf has
line.
claimed most of the central area. Big
Everybody
plans, too.
clapped. I heard it. No, to get the hottest B line, you kind of have to sometimes manipulate the... you have to manipulate the camera to not look at the enemy so that you can just glide on by without... If you don't look at your problems, they're not there, right? That's the thought. But but anyway, so
You say so.
yeah, this is just clean movement, just a little bit of combat, pulling all the enemies together, manipulating them a little bit by shooting them, and
That's everything the
then
supply
getting
trader
forward.
asked
So
for.
yeah, I think two of the most important movement options in the game are what we like to call lift and plunge. Now, lift is done by jump heavy, and it's this big sword swing up, and then plunge is done by doing dash heavy in the air, and you get this diagonal movement down that gets rid of our fall damage. So we're going to be using both of those pretty frequently to gain height and to clip, and you're going to be seeing that a decent amount. But we have many different ways of clipping, which you will be seeing in just a moment when the game kind of opens up after we grab all of these juicy side quests that everybody loves. And we're going to upgrade VC2 and Virtuous Contract level 2, our little tiny sword on our back that is going to be holding the weight of the world.
Oh, I see what you did there. Yep. Yeah, was our suggestion in this game, and we're gonna make very good use of that, which you'll see in just a bit. We are changing biomes as well. I love all the detail this world is crafted with. The city, the bunker, now next up the desert.
I love Aloyark's use of the camera manipulation to not auto lock onto the enemies. I haven't seen many other runners really utilize that to its fullest. And that's something I've advocated. I know. That was unintentional. I have been advocating for the camera manipulation for a long time, and it's really nice to see people implementing. That's a very different word. Implementing.
Especially late in the night for you and early in the morning for me.
Yes, I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little tired. My words, if they kind of, I was gonna say smarm together. I don't think that's a word. But you get the idea. If they just kind of shwm them together, you know, then I apologize. Now, this buying section is incredibly important. These are going to be the only buffs we get for a hot second, just, you know, a good hot boy minute. And then we're going to be picking up a sachet. We're going to be picking up some animal bait. We're going to be picking up a resilience chip. And resilience chip is one of the most important chips in the game because it gives us super armor above 80% health. And since we're at about you know, like hundo percent health pretty much all the time, or we try to be, then we have super armor all the time. Yeah.
we grabbed a save point. We don't usually do this, but we are setting up a safe scum. Now this is barricade skip because we skipped the barricade. Who needs to blow up barricades anyway? There is an easier way, 9, as you are exactly correct about this for once.
Sorry to break immersion. Do I need to refresh my streams? Are you a little bit ahead of me?
I am watching through VLC.
Okay.
I see blue a little bit ahead. Yeah, we skip cutscenes, and you won't see it, hopefully, because that's why we skip them.
If you see the cutscene, then something horribly wrong has happened. That was one of those. We stay out of bounds just to avoid a discovery cutscene.
and then we're grabbing another pod, because pod is just best boy all around, and 2 of them are better than 1. Everybody needs some friends in trying times. It makes especially shmups, but also the upcoming boss fight quite a bit faster.
Yes, exactly. We're able to, you know, skip some stuff. You'll also notice the runners are going to be lasering at these flyers, and that's because they have a chance to drop some saucy chips, and that saucy chip is Taunt Plus. So Taunt Plus increases the amount of damage that we do, but also the enemy does to us, which makes the run a little bit more terrifying. But at the same time, we don't care because we're gonna be melting. You know, we're gonna be hitting that fondue like nobody's
What's
business.
that?
Also, a nice stupid rock right there.
TM. Never forget the TM.
I
Stupid rock
made up
TM.
that skip. I'm allowed to skip the TM if I
You
want
are.
to.
You are, but I need to point it out to everyone else.
No. The fullest named the skip. It's basically fullest. But
What's coming up now is a desert housing skip. Because we could go through a whole lot of cutscenes, or we could just grab the trigger right at the end of the tunnel. It is out of bounds. Get used to the sight, because you're going to have a whole lot more.
do you mind if I explain a little bit more about how our like kind of glitches work? I'm gonna go out of the commentator voice for just a second so I can talk a little bit faster.
Indeed.
So basically, like, one really cool thing about this game is that there are hard triggers. I mean, it's not super cool from a speedrunner perspective. It's sometimes pretty frustrating, but it makes the movement really sick out of bounds, because it means if we're out of bounds and skipping stuff, we still have to grab certain triggers. And so a lot of our movement is going to be... What the heck happened on Amei's screen? That was strange. So basically we're going to be going like way off a beeline to pick up a trigger and then going back and trying to do that all as quickly as possible. Now we're going to upgrade our damage output by doing something pretty saucy, if you want to talk about it.
Exactly. Shabu hinted at it earlier. There is 1 sword. There are 2 weapon sets. We could put the same sword in the same slots in both weapon sets, which makes double the swords. You spin a sword in one direction, it stays out. You spin a sword in another direction, it stays out. You need to swap weapon sets in between, otherwise you kind of make the sword disappear or reappear in your hand, whichever you fancy. And then you have 2 swords out, spinning and winning. Because with 2 swords, are you winning, son? Is a definitive yes.
I mean, we're always winning when we're commentating here, aren't we?
Meet Adam.
It's fine. It's fine. I just wanted to... Friendship, it's cool. It's fine.
We are. I'm definitely. You're buttering me up so well. I want to. I just want to.
So we can skip some phases in this fight by...
Exactly. Back in it.
We could skip some phases by dealing some big boy damage. And then the fight's over, actually. Alright, well...
Also making use of the pods. It's stretches of almost nothing happening, and then everything at once. We need to escape the desert because everything is falling apart. Help! Some more really precise movement. This is actually a 2D platformer in 3D disguise.
So one thing I'd really like to point out is that's one special instance where we use the pod program, the pod slow-mo as we like to call it, where we slow down the rest of the world by charging a pod program, but not releasing it. It slows down the rest of the world, so it actually even slows down the destruction of all those pathways and stuff. And so what we're able to do is slow it down and get a nicer beeline, whereas before you'd have to do a lot of unnecessary movement, and it's really annoying. Instead, just pod slow-mo, and you win.
Exactly. We haven't yet talked about self-destruct, and there is a question in chat. Why did BlueMetal get rid of 2B skirt? Ah, well, those are the really important questions, my friend. But self-destruct is our, like our Leatherman, our multi-purpose tool for every occasion. It is even rumored we use it for its intended purpose of, well, blowing ourselves and everyone around us up.
I'd also like to point out you brought up the save scum earlier, and we just kind of blew over the fact that we went out of bounds because it just honestly it happens so much. But basically, they just went out of bounds, quick saved, and then went. The real reason that we did the SD was to kill as many enemies in the pit as possible to get material drops and levels, because leveling we are incredibly low level for most of the run, and especially towards the end we'll be in like severely under leveled, which makes the run kind of scary, makes us deal a little bit less damage. Doesn't matter because we've got so much damage increase anyway, but you know, it's semantics. But it's basically to just get some extra tasty EXP in our tum-tums.
More hit points, more damage, and there is a cap on when we actually do 0 damage, and I hope you paid attention in math classes. 0 multiplied with anything, still 0. Barricade skip,
Really?
because we're skipping barricades.
Also
Don't
gives
at
us
me.
this cool little effect where the day changes real quick. I really like that. That's kind of cool. Also, going down into the sewer to pick up a trigger again with the hard triggers.
Oh, I just love that nifty little Aloyark niblet passing by blue, like in a relay race, handing over a little bit.
No,
We
it's
are-
cool. I'm not right now, but like in a moment, I have a feeling we're gonna be. This is a close race, and it's probably going to be a close race unless someone messes up coaster right here. So auto scroller coaster skip, which I honestly think is one of the better named skips in this run. We're gonna get this auto scroller roller coaster. We're gonna summon it, and then we're gonna clip off of it, and we are on a hard timer, and we're gonna be trying to get a nice little bit of a weapon that we can use for some really useful stuff in a bit, which is going to be the spear. This is very precise movement, hitting a bunch of triggers. If you don't do that, then you will end up just at the beginning. You'll have to do all of this again, and it's an incredibly large time loss. Fortunately for us, these runners are freaking incredible, and it's just no problem for them. I guess I shouldn't say that before Amei gets to it.
I was just waiting
But
for
Amei
it.
is just really good, so.
Yes. Also, Ism pointed out plunge glitch, which is pretty much dark magic, but also making an additional dash swing in midair.
So what do you think?
It just gives us a little bit more horizontal movement very quickly.
It's totally okay.
It's quite useful. It's actually not as hard as I thought it was. I practiced it for a while the other day, because I, believe it or not, do still play the game occasionally. But
Oh, yes, you do. You have also played the ultimate category, which is
no, we don't
mackerel.
need to talk about that. No, I
Okay.
to be clear, guys, I am nowhere near the level of these runners. They are absolutely incredible. And so if I say anything about my runs, take it with a grain of salt. It's you know, it's like an old man fighting an Olympic runner. It's just not going to end well.
We have them grabbing spears and then dropping in on which is the most beautifully orchestrated boss fight in the game. In some people's opinions, mine too. This is Beauvoir, and she's dropping from stage with a whole lot of fireworks and pizzazz. We try to control her AI and make sure she hops back on stage as soon as possible so we can get hacked, which is everybody's favorite minigame in this game.
I think that one of my favorite things about Beauvoir, like, you know, just memes aside and stuff, is the fact that you like have to. Oh, did Amei zero cycle her? He must have. Is that you have to half cycle her to do it optimally. If you kill her too fast, then it actually zero cycles her and she does a whole animation cycle at random. Whereas if you half cycle her, then she does this same animation and then goes straight back. So it's actually faster to hold off for a little bit and then half cycle before and do all that.
Because yes, it's not just hard to make optimal damage. Sometimes it's hard to make kind of less optimal damage to have optimal speed.
Speaking of optimal damage, Amei with the optimal lasers. Woo! Except not really, actually missed a couple. That's okay. But what Amei was showing off was some spicy laser setups actually done, found by a runner in this race, BlueMetal. Blue found this setup for the lasers to kill those hacking bots. Also, we are SDing here at the end of this boss. I'm sorry, it's hard to commentate a three-way race sometimes. There's so much going on at all times. But we SD at the end of this fight to set up for a very specific and particular skip that we're going to be doing later with either a moose or a boar, and it's going to be a fun time. We're going to be utilizing the invincibility frames of SD and the standing animation by kind of canceling it with a cutscene, which allows us to extend that invincibility and allows us to zip through the map very quickly. It's a really fun skip to watch. I can't wait for you guys to see it. These runners don't really miss it. It is easy to mess up if you're a beginner, and you can die, but I don't really expect that from these runners.
What we also have here, making the screen a little bit flashy, I hope it's bearable for everyone, is the SD, which is a funny thing. We need to actually have a little sliver of health, so everybody has hopefully gotten their small recovery, to make it so they have the ability to SD and move animation cycles forward, which allows us to spear dash.
The way that this happens is because SD... So we talked a little bit about SD being our Swiss Army knife, and I think we've got a little bit of time while we talk to the peaceful robots, pick up some stuff. We're gonna go get a mount and we're gonna ride it to the camp, or maybe we won't. I think some people will opt for spear dashing. Some people sometimes do that, but most people will grab an animal to help us do the glitch later. But SD is really interesting because it instantly cancels our current action, and then sometimes you can use it to stop momentum or keep momentum. And in this case, you're able to SD and attack with spear, and then do a specific move with spear, and then cancel that, and then do it over and over and over again. And that's incredibly fast. I'd also like to point out, Blue, man of the people, as always, grabs a boar and starts boar hopping. Boar hopping is very marginally faster. Aloyark as well in the top right. Very marginally faster. The jump squat seems to push you forward a little bit, and it gives us just a little bit more speed.
I was wrong about my predictions, who got what, but yeah. Boars can also drift, but only in the desert, because déjà vu, I think. Those are a bunch of total clickers. We are using another dialogue that interjects other dialogue, so we can talk to people faster, because most of the time, if dialogue is running, we can't interact with those safe porters, safe spot teleporters.
Okay, Blue coming up on the skip.
Oh, right, yeah. This board is a bit uncooperative. What happened?
Okay, that's really unfortunate. Blue's going to lose about a minute of time on that. This is going to give us a good chance. Oh my god, no way!
2 out of 3, come on.
Okay, this gives Amei... You remember how Amei got punches earlier? This gives Amei a wonderful opportunity to catch up. It is a little bit easier with the moose. If
exactly.
Amei misses... I can't believe it. They all did it correctly. It's a death warp. But it's easy. It's more fun to dress it up. Sorry, guys. I have a feeling most people watching already knew that, but it's fun to talk about anyway. They did it correctly. So the way that death works in this game is that you'll lose chips and EXP, but fortunately we keep story progress and items. So any item we get that continues story, we get to just use. So That's just a really quick death ward.
Command is deploying new flight units for us.
We are also back with full health and colors, but don't get used to it because they are gone again. This game loves to messes with your perception of it. The things we all love. BlueMetal having a little altercation with a bush.
We all have an altercation with the bush every
Probably
once in a
should
while,
get
you
near
know?
that guy's feet. Yeah, no. But let's find another.
Never
It
punched the
does
bush?
kill, but yes. I prefer tree punching.
It's probably better
Flight
for
units should be on the
calluses
roof of
on
that building up
your
ahead.
knuckles.
It'll
Anyway,
be
so there's these two large
Must be past the
machines
Legs.
that we fought earlier. Now there's two of them. The first one is a long and grueling fight, and it's actually not because the devs very kindly gave us a little hole in the wall that we can just kind of on through and just kind of slurp on. We can just sloop on through. I like to think of it, 2B's kind of like a squid or an octopus and just kind of on through this hole. It's actually a deceivingly finicky skip where you have to kind of go through this very tiny hole in an invisible wall. I don't know why it's there, and it's only there for a little bit. Let's see if Blue gets it first try. I can't tell, the stream froze on my end. And did.
He did two little hops, but he got it without the backup, which is to go over it, because thankfully not all the invisible walls extend to infinity. Only those that are really annoying and would allow us to skip the run do.
So yeah, that boss fight's optional. We're also going to be able to do a very quick kill on angles here by buffing up and then, on this second large machine, by buffing up and shooting some missiles into his leg. Bye-bye.
What you see here is in top-down configuration, the spinning pod program is really powerful. It just allows us to melt through stuff, especially if we can do two of those, and especially if we can do the ranged buff before. There is the side view, which gives us a little bit weaker pod program, and you'll get to see that, especially during run, which allows us to talk about that more. That
Oh my gosh. Blue just with some hot movement. What the heck?
yeah.
But it seems to be
Story is happening, glitches are happening, movement is really lapped out. Those caves are really precise. We just did another glitch you didn't really notice, which is Skype glitch. Tell us a little bit about it.
So basically, we move through there so fast that when Commander calls us, we're like, "Oh, Commander, I don't care about what you're saying at all." And then you hang up on her. And she actually really hates that. And everybody else gets this reputation with 2B that you do not like answering the phone. So instead of ringing, doing that bloop bloop kind of noise, it's going to take out all of those bloop bloop noises from now on. And so no more bleep bloops. And they're just going to start talking to you. Your phone doesn't even ring. They've changed it because you were rude that one time.
No more bleep bloops, only zoom zoops. It adds up. It is a glitch that can be pre-set up. So we have to, once we get here and actually get Skype glitch, we have to exit the game if we want to do another run right afterwards. Otherwise you can get a shmup that is faster than 418. It's just not valid.
So this is what we like to call negotiations. We're going to be doing a little bit of a nice movement here. First of all, we're just going to kill him. Don't worry about it. We're just going to kill Eve. And then we're going to use his attack. We're going to counter. This is the highest jump we have in the run. Counter, heavy, lift, heavy, jump, heavy, plunge. Sometimes an SD heavy as well, I think. And then kind of in this awkward camera movement, get over this invisible wall. And if you're looking at Blue's screen, we're going to be picking up a chest, which is going to give us a little bit more materials for that Virtuous Contract level 3 that we were talking about, that Blue is unfortunately not going to be able to pick up because of the Gentleman's Agreement. But they are going to take out all of these enemies, and that's just going to allow us to spear dash, which is that kind of really ugly, horrendous movement that you're seeing, through on our way out because of the auto attack or the auto aim. Spear dashing is an attack. Sorry, I just blanked for a second.
Spear dashing is beautiful. It just sounds horrible. You didn't. It breezed past us again, but the combat was really, really clean. You see those guys doing double damage glitch with slow-mo in between to make every fight. Exactly, to make every fight a whole lot more controllable. So it's less damage that we get, it's more damage that we can make, and just melts even faster. Well, not faster, but more controlled. It's like high precision laser strikes with swords, laser swords.
Yeah, the APM for NieR is kind of insane, honestly, because you're clicking the flashlight on and off constantly. You're also dashing and clicking heavy, and then you're doing pod slow-mo. But the thing is, pod slow-mo doesn't last forever, so you have to refresh it with pod fire or a dash. So you're doing all of these things at the same time, and it's in this kind of uncomfortable rhythm. So you're doing like dash heavy, dash heavy, dash heavy, dash heavy, while also doing flash on, flash on, flash on, flash on, flash off, flash on, flash off, and then also doing slow-mo, 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 pod fire, slow-mo, all at the same time. And it's honestly quite overwhelming and pretty cool to watch, especially if you see a run with controller inputs. It's pretty mesmerizing.
It is one of the big kind of gatekeepers time-wise. You might think all the skips, all the movement, those are really necessary to get down real good. But combat is, because you're just spending so much time in it, the one thing, yeah, it requires 20 fingers, and there are layouts, there are people who are running these with, I just lost the word, extra key inputs. Come on.
Paddles?
Paddles, exactly. Thank you. Just use a keyboard. You do not want to use a keyboard, and if you do want...
controls are atrocious.
Exactly. You would have to press, for dodging, and it is one of the most used commands, you would have to press a directional button twice. Also, we are going to use the keyboard once.
You know, I think dodging might be the most used command in the game, or in the run. It's used in everything. It's used in movement and combat. I guess not spear dashing.
The thing is, we have a mod that will allow you to map a button to dashing, which just which just makes you hit a movement button twice. But that one is sadly not allowed because it messes with NieR Automata's code in other unfathomable ways.
Yeah, it's so weird. There's the mods in this game are pretty contentious when it comes to runs, because there was one that was like a window resizer mod, and it just allowed you to skip part of the intro. It's so strange, and it was unreplicatable outside of that. So we're finally at the point where we get to equip some chips, at least on Blue's screen. Also, I missed it. You'll be able to see it on one of the other runner screens, but Blue did a nice little dialogue skip by pulling up the partner menu and doing the old ram headbutting ram dialogue. Are you a fan of Forest Kingdom?
I love seeing it. I do not love dashing and zip-zop-zooping and beelining through it.
Would you like to explain it, or do you want me to?
I'll let you have that, get my coffee, and be back for best girl and best robot wife.
Alright, fair enough. Have your fun coffee. Alright, so basically this is just clean movement. This is just beeline after beeline, just trying to avoid locking onto the enemies, getting from one point to the other, and then we're going to have a nice, big, juicy skip or two in a moment. I'm personally watching Blue's screen because I believe Blue is ahead. from my viewpoint on the streams.
Don't listen to what they're saying, 2B.
So we're gonna be just doing some clean movement here, very much labbed out, and fortunately for us, we can just kind of skip this whole thing. We're gonna be doing something that we call Rainbow Road. Now, Rainbow Road is the longest horizontal jump that we currently do in the run, and it's called Rainbow Road because we originally did a drown warp that we called Mario Kart. Now, this is a very precise set of inputs. It's all to maintain a certain height and horizontal motion. And there you go, it's done. Now we're going to clip through this route for one of my favorite skips in the game. This skip has been around for a very long time. And there Blue goes just right on through it. Now, one interesting thing to note is that for some reason, there's collision in these windows. So instead of going through this really long and arduous castle, we can just kind of go in the windows and just have a good time. Just like later gamers, we're out of here and we're now at the top and we're done with castle. We just have one fight left. All right, we're going to do a little jump and pod launch, a little very tiny optimization with the movement here.
Because walking is slow.
2B.
Walking is very slow.
An android.
Oh,
And there she is.
Type android.
it's my
The
favorite.
beautiful, the immaculate, the I love girls with long hair, A2.
Oh,
I
sorry,
do
I
have
just
a
saw
body.
Amei. Whew.
Bunker to 2B and 9S. We've
Amei almost fell back in the castle. That's a big time loss. Saved it though.
Is your enemy.
Wow.
After her, 2B.
Am I crazy or was that really fast?
A2 cooperating is a rare sight to behold.
So normally there's an invisible wall here that we cannot pass, and then you got to go through 2 minutes dialogue. Just go over it. If that's kind of the rule in NieR Automata is if there's an invisible wall, either go through it or go over it. If you can't go through it, go over it. That's the flow chart. Would you like to go through this invisible wall? Yes. Go through it. Can't go through it?
Can you get
Go
around
over
it? Or
Can you get
over it?
around it? Can you get over it?
If you can't do that, can you at least make everything else faster, like dialogue or warping or
Faster.
generally faster movement, like with Mies or Boars, whoever, whatever? Wait, who's A2? Sadly, this content is locked and redacted, and you will have to play E ending, which is, or all major endings, which is the true category, the master class, you could say. Sadly,
Oh,
you will have to
okay.
play as 9S for part 1.
The real master class. is
Rod
the-
pointed out in chat that VC3 mod is already so sophisticated, developed by one of our own, Icefire, and a couple of his peeps, and everybody should be having Taunt plus 2, which
Yeah,
makes
everyone does have Taunt plus 2. I'm sorry. I meant to point out that Taunt plus 2 is a guaranteed drop with VC3 mod from killing those from killing those flyers in the desert like a million years ago. I don't know if you guys remember it or not. VC3 is also guaranteed, but again, they have a gentleman's agreement. Only Amei is going to be allowed to use VC3 because Amei got punches, and it's supposed to even out the playing field a bit. Amei, obviously, in the top left, Aloyark in the top right, and Blue in the middle. Unless my stream is lagging, Blue is currently in the lead. Is that correct?
At short fight.
Yes. Okay.
See this beautiful chicken? Well, sorry, it's gone, but this is the most beautiful chicken. GB will appreciate it. Yeah, the combat time loss from having VC2 instead of VC3, because the upgrade also gives you more damage, is a bit negated by Taunt plus 2.
That's the last of the machines.
But the movement speed increase, or attack speed increase, which translates to movement speed increase from VC3, adds up to about something like half a minute to 50 seconds if it's done really well. So yeah, that's where Amei has got a good chance of making up some time. Aloyark is having a little bit of trouble getting into Flooded City. And BlueMetal is on to the most awesome, most amazing, most important part of the run, which is another 15-minute auto-scroller.
Blue is zooming. Don't get me wrong, it's still a very close race. There's still a lot that can happen, but I feel like I should have been playing that up more because there is a lot that can happen, but Blue has been pretty commanding. It's going to take some clean rest of the game because honestly, this is we're coming up on one of the most exciting parts of the run, everyone's favorite part. I can't even fake being excited about it. We're coming up on a 10-minute auto-scroller.
Oh, I don't need to. I don't need to fake being excited. We can either check what we haven't gotten to yet, or I get to read German grün facts, which is a thing which was in Fullest's chat. Just exclamation mark grün or grun because you don't have umlauts, which is really, really sad. And then it just grabbed a random, like maybe even just a word or a paragraph or anything in between that from Karl Theodor Ferdinand Grün's Wikipedia page, which, as you might have guessed, with all the boss enemies in this game, is just another philosopher. I don't know why we Germans had so many of those. It was a good and peaceful time back then.
A lot to think about. I would like to point out, so one thing that I do really like about Grün, other than my wonderfully smooth-voiced co-commentator, saying Grün facts, which is one of my favorite things of all time, is that it is kind of it's like a gatekeeper. It is this monument for some of the coolest stuff in the game. Like right after this, it is just boom, action. You're clipping, you're going all over the place, you're out of bounds, you're over here, you're zip-zop zooming over there, you're going here, you're going there. Oh my gosh, it gets absolutely wild. It's just kind of unfortunate that there's a 10-minute auto-scroller before that, but once you get through that, it is just balls to the walls action for the rest of the run. I'm really excited to talk about some of that. It's going to be me talking like an auctioneer, and then Fun Cannon also. Friendship Cannon. I'm so sorry.
I'm having fun here. I was wondering if you would finish before Goliath Flyer went down, but you can watch that Amei stream. The Goliath Flyer, just one pretty overlooked enemy from a shmup. I don't know if you can even call him a boss enemy, but that guy's sturdy, and pretty much just because we are waiting on a cooldown cycle from our pod program to do the double pod program and then do it again. Because that's just how we do the most efficient damage with in shmup configuration. Because sadly, does melee power up affect the sword attacks?
Yeah. So the problem with the Goliath Flyer is that for some reason, despite it looking like it's in melee range, you actually cannot do the melee attacks. You have to do your heavy attack, which is a sword beam, and it is way slower than just DPSing it down with the melee attack. Also, I'd like to point out that none of these runners are going to do it. They're way too professional, way too cool for it, but there is a way you can despawn these waves, which you severely kind of hurt yourself in the long run because you lose out on EXP, but honestly, I think it's really funny. And all you have to do is you just go into the right corner, and you just chill there, and no enemies spawn. It can also lose you 4 minutes, but, you know, whatever. It's a good time. I think that's kind of all I wanted to say. So
The runners are having a little bit of a chance to catch a break, with the inputs being a lot easier on their hands.
So basically, if
It's pretty much just memorization of what spawns where, killing it fast, progressing through this auto-scroller at, well, not breakneck speed, but still optimal pace. And
Blue is zooming, by the way. I just have to point that out. Blue is like hauling. I don't have a timer on me personally, but it feels pretty quick.
the game is timed loadless on the leaderboards. We got a really nice auto split for it. It makes it a bit more consistent because load times can be a bit of an issue. Before we had the auto splitter, it was in-game time, and that led to people running it on Japanese, because on all the loading screens, the Japanese has way less characters, which makes it faster because we are not waiting for the loading to finish, but we're actually waiting for the text to finish. These are just beautiful, beautiful cores, which are a tiny little source of more RNG, but our runners are trying to minimize it as much as possible. Blue having some funny camera work going on here, and Zips up spinning around, because spinning is winning in this game.
If you're not spinning, are you really winning?
Are you spinning, son?
Are you spinning, son?
This is really close. Another wonderful thing about Grun is it's good XP. You get a couple levels out of it, but even with that, it really starts to show you're really under-leveled after that. A lot of boss enemies are coming up, and getting hit hurts. If you're not keeping up your buffs, you're on one side not doing damage, and on the other side getting way too much damage. There you have my namesake up on screen. Thank you, BlueMetal, for delivering a good meal, healthy and sustaining, to our wonderful giant robot whale waifu disco whale, Grun. They call it a shoreline mortar, but it's also the game says it's a coastal rail unit or rail cannon unit.
I love the way that the word rail cannon sounds. It's got a very satisfying collection of syllables and vowels. Sorry, very random.
Absolutely. We're just skipping all the story, all the music. There's so much amazingness to this game. If you haven't played it, do yourself the favor and pick it up. It is an experience. It is. We are only running a ending, Kyodishin. There is so much more to this game. A to Z, or Z, wherever you're from. We will get K ending tomorrow, which is again best end.
So I'd like to point out some actual, I'm gonna bring it back in from the chill, shooting the good times, stuff, and just say that Grun is not only a relaxing time where it's just, you do whatever. It actually, there are parts that are not auto-scroller. So this is a chance for someone to gain some time, and since it's such a close race, I could honestly really see someone kind of gaining a little bit of time on someone else, because all those cores, the yellow cores, they actually, you can lose time. It is incredibly easy to lose time if you get a bad cycle, or if you are not quite optimal with your damage. You have to kill all 4 of the small orbs before you can kill the large orb. And yeah, so while Grun is kind of an auto-scroller, it's also pretty stressful. But I think that's kind of the last thing I wanted to say. I'm gonna let you talk, because I have a feeling once we get to factory, I'm gonna have to talk pretty fast.
This is just rushing along. This is the speediest of runs. This is triple the speed. And all the little time saves really add up. What I wanted to talk about earlier is each of those are beautiful runners here have their own, areas they are really, really strong at. I love to see Amei's combat. He just knows where to place a damage glitch for maximum efficiency. Aloyark just has a deep knowledge of this game. It's crazy. It's like he can read the code of it, like in Neo in the Matrix. And BlueMetal, you know more about him, Shabu, but BlueMetal is just solid overall. I think with all the hours he's put in and all the progression he's gone through, he's got so much consistency, which is probably his strong point and giving him the lead right now. But you may correct me on that.
They're all incredible runners, and Aloyark honestly kind of like a wunderkind. Sorry, you probably just cringed super hard.
No.
At
This was 99% correct.
Let's go. I'll take it. But only joining in like I want to say July. But anyway, joining this year, which is kind of insane, and Aloyark really just showing a very clear understanding of how the movement works, how clipping works, how to understand glitches, how to create time save, how to go through all of that, and just really, really utilizing a lot of the movement to its fullest extent. And it's really fun to watch when Aloyark finds something new.
Exactly. There are also quite a bunch of other categories which we now have a little bit of a chance. A couple of seconds only. There is A to Z as a category, getting all the endings. There is 98% quests, which is not as much of a thing these times around. We also do have 100%, but it's 15 hours, and it's mostly just fishing and RNG. You do get to see a little bit of fishing later in this marathon, though. Come back to that. We will have so much more time to talk about everything. It's going to be great. Ground warp. Yes, stuff is happening again on screen, especially on BlueMetals. It's going to be really fast now.
These drown warps are actually incredibly important because it allows us to skip some dialogue that otherwise, if you were to go for copied city clip skip, you would need to skip that dialogue. But we kind of go around this dialogue. You can look at it again on Amei's screen to get up on to that bridge, and that skips some dialogue for us. Now, oh my gosh, beautiful. Blue already through and going to copied city. That clip is surprisingly difficult, especially without spear. It used to be a lot more difficult. It used to be a lot more precise, but with spear, honestly, a lot of people, when they're starting to run, they ask, should I be doing coaster? Should I be getting spear? And a lot of runners will tell you, yeah, you should probably be picking up spear, because if not for spear dashing, which I personally don't really like spear dashing, it hurts my hands, but
it does. It's so many inputs at once.
But it's really good for clipping, and we're coming up on one of my favorite named skips in the game.
Just one quick thing. VC3 actually makes this skip harder if you're doing it with VC.
Yes.
And this is one of the rare points where we use mouse and keyboard to line up for copied city clip and mansplaining skip. Yes, it's called mansplaining because Adam just goes on a full-on rant about, like, the weight of the world, basically, and philosophizing and become as humans. We did get the memo out about become as gods. And we are like, nah, we ain't having that. Getting out of bounds, getting to the elevator, calling it down, and like, we want to leave here. And Pod is like, oh, come on, give it a chance. So, Blue going for the pod pad. That is a thing you can do, and it is.
It allows so what that does is it's a very precise setup. You actually grab 2B's tush and push it into the elevator, and then the elevator dialogue, Pod says, don't run away, basically. But pod padding also has a dialogue. So you've got 3 dialogues happening at once. You've got Adam's dialogue, then you talk to the elevator. The elevator is much more interesting than Adam, if I'm being entirely honest. Also, Blue's just going to be melting this boss. Don't worry about it. It's not super important. This is a threshold. You just got to hit him. Whatever. I'm going to keep talking about mansplaining Skip. So what you do is you talk to the elevator because infinitely more interesting. And what it used to be is you'd walk into the elevator and then proposal, prioritize search for 9S. And that would cancel out Adam's dialogue. But what Blue did was a very intelligent optimization where you pod pat and then 2B's butt goes into the elevator, triggers the prioritize 9S dialogue. But pod also is talking about having the affection and affirmation from the pod pat, and it all cancels out. Speaking of canceling out dialogue, if you jump right there and then talk to this poor, probably underpaid employee at the computer, then it skips this incredibly long chunk of dialogue and allows us to grab this email and go straight to the factory.
It can be a bit of a run killer, yes.
Pascal, can you hear me?
Also, always when talking to any NPC, we can just grab the talk option with them, and then dash swing away to maintain social distance and get some couple meters, yards, whichever you fancy in, to be closer to where we want to go next. Another little optimization. Many of those add up all over the run. And BlueMetal heading into factory already. This is... Ooh.
I don't want to jinx it, but Blue is looking solid.
Commentator's curse, man.
Like,
But-
here, I'll knock on wood for you. But but honestly, it's like I usually get really hyped about these races, and I'm talking about, oh, this person could overtake him here. Oh my gosh, and I shoutcast it, and like Blue's just looking solid. I'm gonna flip my stuff, if you will, if someone starts to overtake Blue, which honestly Amei's gaining some ground thanks to that VC3, I think. It should be a pretty interesting race, especially coming into this kind of boss rush that VC3 is going to be doing work.
BlueMetal gave us some fan service with the camera shove. 2B is a delicate woman, and she's looking out for herself, which is very appreciated. So she pushes the camera away and herself a little bit forward. We still think it's definitely
It is,
half a frame of time save, I would say, right?
Yeah, it's not much time save, but it is technically time save because you walk forward a little bit. Oh my gosh, Blue. Oh.
He probably listened to us, maybe, and wanted to
All
give
right.
me a bad conscience. Mura pointing out 110 RTA going into factory. This is amazing. This is like top-notch gameplay from all 3 of them.
That's pretty good.
I would have pretty much banked on Amei being ahead most of the time and probably getting trolled by Eve, which could still happen to all 3 of them.
Honestly, Blue's PB with the 121.59 with VC3 mod is pretty insane.
Absolutely.
I also
Hello, my name is Pascal. I'm here to discuss
You ready?
the peace treaty.
Ready anytime to become as
Okay.
gods.
So we are coming up on one of the craziest and most fun skips in the game. I'm kind of catching my breath because we're going to be talking about a lot of things very, very quickly. So basically this first thing is we have to kill a certain amount of enemies to get this elevator to spawn, and then we can go through it. Actually, yes, but actually no. We can clip out and then despawn those enemies to get this elevator to come up. Now, one thing that's really nice about this room, we like to call it the Mook's room, is that it's incredibly high up. And as I said earlier, if you remember, if you were here, a lot of NieR Automata is going out of bounds, grabbing triggers, and then going back somewhere, grabbing another trigger, and then going back. This is the best example of that. We're going to be zip-zopping, flip-flopping all the way through Factory, and it's going to be absolutely bonkers. It's going to be crazy. We're going to go out of bounds here just to reset this elevator. All of that movement was just to reset this elevator to take us back up to Mook's room so that we can be up at this really high spot. Now we are going to grab a very important trigger. That was the first trigger. Now we're going to grab the second most important trigger. We're going to come over here. We're going to clip out on this pipe, and then at a like 45-degree angle.
Ooh.
Oh,
BlueMetal dropped one.
oh,
But he got the second.
that's a little bit of a chance. Now, this is really difficult. Basically, what you're doing is you're trying to get a trigger without landing. And so basically the game has this internal system where if you're falling for long enough, then you get drown warped. And so that's what we're abusing there. And so by SDing, we don't go into a free fall animation, and then you can glide down, grab it, and then in a very tight window, it resets you after you grab the trigger, and it allows us to go there. That was like little, very slight, the slightest hiccups, but that was a beautifully done factory skip from Blue, and it keeps going. Oh my gosh, he's doing the thing. Oh my god. Okay, Amei coming up on this part. This is a run killer. And Amei gets it first try. That's actually a little bit of time save. Amei kind of getting a little bit of time on Blue. We'll see if Amei gets this elevator skip where you go on top of the elevator. It's a little small optimization that we've found somewhat recently. It's not super recently, but if Amei can get that elevator optimization, then we might be in for a really exciting race coming into the end here, especially with Amei on that VC3 with that increased weapon speed and increased weapon damage. It looks like Amei misses the elevator, but it's so minor that it really doesn't matter all that much. I have a feeling it's going to come down to Eve. I have a feeling it's going to come down to the last boss. We could be in for a very interesting race. And then Aloyark, while
he's not out of the race
yet, a little bit behind, not out at all.
And I think he's got so much experience with breaking open bosses, with breaking stuff in the most interesting of ways, and he might have a whole for as recently as he joined. I just joined at the server. It was January this year, but he might have started running just a little bit later. He gets the trigger first try. And
very clean.
Don't be fooled. Dropping down, resetting your drown warp spawn point to down below that door, or just landing there, can cost you up to, I think it's a minute, and you can still soft lock after the plunges. You have to extend them with an SD. Swiss Army knife. You said it before. It still holds true. Intended purpose. Aloyark on the elevator as well. This is just.
Wow, Blue so far ahead. Blue coming up on, I think Blue runs through, does not go for Shabu skip. I'm pretty sure Blue, nope, never mind. I misspoke.
There you go.
Wow. Oh, let's see if he gets the full Shabu skip with the optimization. Does get the optimization. That was beautifully done. Blue is on another level right now. This movement is so clean. That's like one of the cleanest Shabu skips I've seen. Do I have to talk about it?
Tell me what, and I will do it. I can talk about anything. This was Soshi, right? We just wailed on in Factory 2 out of the 3 times. We're just hanging. Aloyark is just hanging out there. Amei is going for the Shabu skip as well. Really neat as well.
Oh, the full optimization.
Extending it even further.
The full optimization. Wow. So, I feel like I have to explain it. The reason it's called Shabu skip is because that is the third and final optimization to the game that I found. I'm very proud of it. Let me have this. That's all I have. I promise I'm not vain. I just looked for so long. But it's called Shabu Skip, not because I named it that. I actually named it something weird like Deep Factory Skip V2, which was a mouthful and not very easy to say. The community named it Shabu Skip because in races, in NieR Automata speedrun tournament, year 2018, Nasty 18 for sure. I hate that
Not
name.
the Sweet 16, but yeah.
Yeah. But I would always talk about how the first skips in the game we do is like over those girders and you get around, and how I love that A ending ends with the first, like one of the first skips you do, it ends with like one of the first skips you do, and it all comes full circle, and it's this really beautiful cycle, which is kind of what the game's about. Me finding that skip skips that, and thus skips me talking about that. So Shabu skip is actually skipping me talking about how it comes full circle. So we need to find Shabu skip to skip me talking about how Shabu skip skips me talking about the initial skip.
And that is a cycle in itself. You see, just wrecking resistance camp. That Goliath is scary, especially with taunt +2, but BlueMetal just melts it before that. You can get hit by the punch from the Goliath, and then it sends out a shockwave. You can, on your way out there, rush in because you're just so breezing ahead. Now it's the boss gauntlet. Now everything is super deadly. Without buffs, it's most likely a one-shot. Even with buffs, pretty much everything is a two-shot. And
sorry, Amei tore through resistance. That BC3 doing some work.
Yes, exactly. BlueMetal did the same to Okshi.
Dude, Blue is just looking so strong. I mean, like, Amei gaining a little bit of time here and there, especially with this BC3 that we keep talking about. That upgraded sword really does add a lot to the combat. But it's just Blue really, like, playing solid.
Yeah, he's on level 19 after Core 1, which is really nice, really good. If he can get level 20 after Core 2, maybe, that could give him another edge to going into Eve. Amei pulling up the Core 1 up on the slope, so the DGs, or DDGs, double damage glitches, just land really right into it. Aloyark in resistance camp as well, getting some slow death animations from the big bipeds, or medium bipeds.
Medium bipeds.
Medium bipeds. They look so big and strong. Damn it. Keep it together. It's still a whole lot of movement, still a whole lot of combat, and still a whole lot of things that can go wrong. Every loading trigger is sadly super minuscule crash chance. We are not going to see this here because that would be the best of marathon.
Why would you even bring it up?
So it doesn't happen. Hey, it's German. This is. I'm talking about German engineering. We are also seeing some crits from Blue.
That's gonna be hard. I'm gonna be honest. That is gonna be hard to beat. Eve, as long as Eve gives good RNG on phase 3, Blue is looking so strong. Honestly, Amei I think is also going to get the one cycle. Yep, and gets the dialogue skip. Perfect. But it's gonna come down to Eve. I told you it's gonna come down to Eve. But it's if I was a betting man, I'm kind of betting on Blue right now.
And even without VC3, Blue will melt. Will it kill? It will. That is how sharp he is on everything from movement to combat to all the little optimizations, especially slow-mo. There are two ways to do slow-mo. Both all our runners are doing the 2x1, I think, hitting out 2 damage glitches and then reloading.
Amei making way through the first phase pretty quickly as well. Going to try and go for this phase skip. If Eve does not get full health during this Robo Clump, then it actually skips this second phase. And now what our runners are going to try and do, especially Blue, I think coming up, is going to get to a certain damage threshold, taunt, and then SD, and gets it perfectly. It's going to be incredibly difficult unless Blue gets just a really bad RNG for Amei to bring this back. Amei gaining time, doing very, very well. But it's just gonna be incredibly difficult. Also, Blue going for the safer strats of using the oh my gosh. Yeah. Amei actually just died. Fortunately just puts
This time, it's not a death warp.
this time is not actually a death warp, and that is Blue finished. Wow, that was a clean run.
No.
Wow.
It's okay.
Maybe thinking they needed to
But you'll lose you.
you know, really
Got
up
animation locked is what he's
the
saying in
damage.
chat.
That's really unfortunate.
We had a knockdown skip for Amei and Aloyark, but
9S.
with this on nearly perfect gameplay that BlueMetal dropped on us
Nice.
with VC2. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow, that was
it was clean all the way through. So, big GG to Blue.
let's see who gets second place. I feel like now it's a race between Aloyark and Amei, and as long as Amei can clean this up, then I think our podium is kind of set. But you know, anything can happen. Nope.
Yeah, just exactly there we are.
Never mind.
It just shows how scary the end is. And Murad dropping on us 124 RTA is new RTA record.
That's insane.
We'll see about loadless, but both in VC3 mod and normal A leaderboards. Thanks for the update. A 125 for Amei is rumored. We'll see in just a bit.
Wow. That was honestly watching Blues run was incredible. That was a really great run.
And even Aloyark for all the troubles, the little mine. It's not even troubles. It's like
Oh, that's unfortunate.
on any other day he could have been.
That's really unfortunate. Aloyark barely missing the threshold for the SD. Maybe thinking they needed to try and gain a little bit of time with a risky SD there. But yeah,
121.48 is what BlueMetal is dropping on us.
one what?
121.48.
Oh my gosh. Are you for real? Oh my gosh.
It's SpeedDocsAthon, everybody. We got the world record.
That's insane. By like 10 seconds.
And
11 seconds. Holy crap.
It is on VC3 mod, but with VC2.
That's
Imagine VC3 on this one.
That's absolutely insane. That's so. I told you that run was saucy. That
We're definitely going to be taking a room after this, with BlueMetal, that is.
Wow. Sorry, I can't really say much else. That was just 121.48. Holy crap.
Mura with a couple thousand hours in this game is also another amazing runner. Currently enjoying the culture that is Miku Hatsune, which is very much appreciated. Blue too strong indeed. Mura, what I was going on about was Mura saying this could have been the rumored, the fabled 120. Mura, listen closely. Ponoko. There you have it. Clip it if you want. Saying this could have been a 120, which is way beyond insane. That's many runners' segment of best.
That was. I honestly like. I had a feeling. I didn't want to say anything because you know I'm not smart enough at the game, in my opinion. But that it felt so clean. You could tell that it was a good run. Wow. I want to get Blue in here. I want to talk to Blue. Let me talk to Blue already. Can you get Blue in here?
For Aloyark, I don't know. I can. I hope.
Aloyark,
might be running out on buffs is the rumor. Yeah, exactly. For E-ending, we need to grab some other stuff, and there's a bit of RNG in it. We have it optimized as much as possible, but we need to do some shopping. on an Emil shop that can spawn in three locations randomly, and then it has 2 shops, so you can get him in the right location, still get the wrong shop. We need taunt +6, because you thought taunt +2 is scary? Nope, we get taunt +6.
Everything past a certain point one-shots you in E-ending, and it's
Through
terrifying.
buffs.
Through buffs.
So you don't even need to bother with defense buffs anymore after that point.
Yeah.
I'll hop over with our race people, and that sounds wrong, with our runners, our racers. Sorry for that. Too excited for words. And ask how they're doing and if they want to hop over for a little bit.
Dude.
Hey.
Dude. Dude, what the heck was that?
A new VC3 record.
What
VC3 mod record.
that?
I
Say that
still
again.
got hung up on a few places, but
it
still happened.
It's
So
a
I was
VC3 record with VC2.
VC3 mod record with VC2. Because we had a pre-race agreement where if someone got punches, they would get VC3, but if you did not get punches, you do not get VC3.
I can't believe that. I honestly, so I was thinking the whole time, I was like, wow, this looks really freaking fast. But I didn't want to say anything because I'm too dumb at the game. I didn't want to be like, this feels like world record pace. But holy crap. Also, those crits on the snake core.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Those were insane. That thing just died
And
immediately.
Aloyark, just a little brag. Aloyark clocking in exactly under estimate with 129. 59.99 probably, something like that. Timer should be stopping right now, but yeah. Aloyark came in under RTA estimate.
We did it.
GG Aloyark.
So
Good
how
to
do you
have you on
feel,
here.
Blue? I'll ask everyone, but I'm just kind of reeling. How do you feel about that run? Like, especially now looking back at it, like I can't even say words. That was so sick.
To be honest, I was happy with a lot of that run. Like, I got a 1356 prologue and a 2658 desert. And then there was some other things that were like really good, and some other things I got really hung up on, like parts of factory, and then the animals, and like just little bits here and there. But
Yeah,
I like after the timer stopped and I was like record and everything, I was like, yes! I just shouted out real loud and everything.
oh,
I was pretty
I
happy
wish
about
you
it.
could have heard that.
Yeah, I was pretty hyped. I was excited.
Right.
Feels good.
So not to be mean, but how do you guys feel about the run, Amei and Aloyark, if you want to talk?
I reckon it went decent for me. I had the animation of the lasers lock me in at the end, so I couldn't heal up. There's definitely like a bunch of places where I had a plate full of spaghetti and I wanted to eat it all at once. Punches as well.
Yeah.
But punches was mostly negated by the agreement we had for VC3. But honestly, like, from the start where I had punches, I was behind Blue, and I never caught up.
Yeah, honestly, you did start gaining some time in some places, especially factory. Your factory was really clean, from what I saw, and you started gaining a little bit of time. I think missing the elevator maybe would have gotten you a little bit closer, but you were starting to gain some time. But Blue I kept saying that Blue looked so strong. Like, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not trying to just like rub it in. It was just like it was kind of a marvel to see. But Eve giving you guys a little bit of sauce.
I played the shittiest I've ever played in my life.
I shouldn't have hyped you up as the future world record holder, because now I've only made it harder. But you're getting there. Still a super clean game.
Honestly,
what's your IGT or loadless, Aloyark?
129.59.
Oh.
Wait, that's RTA.
Oh wait,
Know
no,
those.
that's the 122.59. Oh my god, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
I was about to say.
That would be a huge
122.59.
BB if I
Yeah.
but that was my real time. Oh man. Yeah.
So as much as it looked like really far apart in RTA, it was much closer in loadless. It was just a wonderful show from all of you.
It was honestly great. I didn't get to hype as much because just like at the end I was starting to get really hyped because you could just see. I'm again. I'm sorry. I'll ask everyone some more questions, but I have to just talk a little bit more about like wow, you looked so clean. I know that there was like factory. You had that one plunge where you went through instead of on top of the girder. But like other than that, it was really clean. And
Yeah,
with
it was only that
VC2
specific spot. I flew through the girder and then I had to do second try door trigger. Other than that, my factory was good.
That's an 11-second PB with VC2.
Yeah, Tom plus 2 is really, really strong though. That's the entire reason. Like my final split has like 29 seconds to save because because Tom plus 2, I did a run with it legit one time, but that run was really bad. But I got like a 15-second gold with Tom plus 2. So like all I needed for that final split was Tom plus 2, and suddenly I went from red to green.
Wow. Yeah, that was
very strong.
That was really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, I was feeling it the whole time. Trust me.
Yeah. Did you guys all have fun though? Like, I know that I don't know how competitive all of you are, but I had a blast commentating. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's always a really fun time. But until maybe aside from some frustrations, did you guys at least have a good time and were there at least some parts of your runs that you were really satisfied with? Were there any parts where you kind of had a standout where you're like, yeah, I feel like I did that really well? Maybe not the best you've ever done it, but like I did that really well. And under the pressure of marathon and a race and stuff like that, it's something that you can be proud of.
Coaster.
I like when my controller died. That was pretty good.
Dude, coaster is always one of the hardest things to do under pressure because you're just like, if I miss this, my run is automatically garbage. So yeah, one shot at it. In a marathon setting, in a race setting, you're just like.
Well, I'm happy that I saved coaster because I
Heart's
fell.
racing.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
that's.
I was happy about prologue. Obviously, I got punches, but it would have been a sub 14. And then the factory. I didn't get the elevator, but the rest of that was super clean.
Yeah, your factory was super clean. I commented on that. Outside of the elevator, it was just like just about as clean as I feel like you could make it.
Yeah.
And you were all for the complete first half of the game, you were all on just breakneck speed, neck to neck pretty much. This was a sight to behold. So when's the next one?
When is the next one, guys?
I'm down whenever.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't have anything
then.
to do ever.
Reset. Let's do it right now.